Hello everybody, this is the grade 12 theory lesson and this is unit 2B and today's topic is diatonic jazz modes. Modes are scales just like any major scale, and when we rearrange tones and semitones between the different scale degrees we will create different scales or modes. So an example of a mode that we already know is the major scale or the Ionian mode. Modes do not change ascending and descending, and that's another key important aspect. So we actually know two modes. We know already the Ionian mode and we know the Aeolian mode. The Ionian mode is another name for the major scale, and the Aeolian mode is another name for the natural minor scale. So we actually know two of the modes that we're going to learn today. But it's important to note that the Aeolian mode is based on the natural minor scale, so there's no altered notes unlike the melodic minor scale. So when you ascend, you don't raise 6th and 7th and flatten them on the way down. Once you've altered the notes and determined what the flavor notes are, that's it. You just maintain those pitches. All modes can be broken down into two categories. They can be classified as either being a major mode or a minor mode. When we're writing out the major scale starting on each scale degree, 7 different modes are created, and these are the relative diatonic modes of the major scale. So looking at your chart in your learning guide, starting note is tonic. Let's imagine that it's C for a moment. So tonic is C, the mode is the Ionian. We're actually going to be writing out a C major scale. So Ionian is referring to the first degree, but the classification of whether mode is major or minor has to do with the distance from the first note to the third note. And regardless of what starting pitch is, you have to determine what that interval is to determine if this is a major mode or a minor mode. So key of C major, if C is the tonic, well, we know in C major everything is a natural pitch. So if I'm counting from a C to an E, I have a major third. If I look at the supertonic or the Dorian mode, which is based on the supertonic of, let's use C major again, we're actually starting on a D. And if I count to the third note based on D using the same notes that are found in C major, so D to F, that's actually a minor third. So the Dorian mode is classified as a minor mode. The Phrygian mode is based on the mediant, or the third note. So in C major, we're basing it off an E. And if I count up a third above an E, using the same notes, again, in C major, I will get a minor third. So this one's also classified as a minor mode. The Lydian mode would be based on the 4th degree. So if we're using C major, its starting pitch would be F. And if I count using those same notes, to the third, I get an A natural. F to A is a major third, so the Lydian mode is major. The Mixolydian mode is based on a G, if we're using C as example. So G to B, that's also a major third. That's also going to be a major mode. The Aeolian mode is based on the 6th degree, or the submediant. And in the case of using C major's key signature, that's starting on an A. Third above an A is a C natural, which is actually a minor third. So this one would be a minor mode. And then the Locrian mode is based on the 7th degree. If we're using C, would be a B natural. B to a D is a minor third as well, so the Locrian mode is also going to be minor. So you can see, once we've done that, we are left with 3 major modes, Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian, and we're left with 4 minor modes, Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, and Locrian. Your guide goes through a couple examples of what those look like using what we just described. As I walk through some of those examples, right? So you can see G Mixolydian. It's, again, all of the same notes found within C major. The only thing you're doing is starting and ending on a G rather than a C. Same with Aeolian. All the same notes from C major. You're just starting and ending on an A. And then Locrian, all the same notes starting and ending on a B. So once we've determined if a mode is major or minor, we got to look at what the flavors are that distinguish them even further, because again, there's lots of variations that exist within the two categories. So when modes are classified from their tonic notes, they can be divided into major and minor scales depending on whether the third of the mode is major or minor. And when we do this, it's easy to see the degrees that give each mode its distinct sound characteristic or flavor by comparing the mode to either the major Ionian or the natural Aeolian. So for example, a Lydian scale is a major scale with a sharpened 4th degree. We've determined that it's based on, it has a major third as the first 3 notes of the Lydian scale, the Lydian mode, but the flavor is a raised 4th. Same with, and then with the Mixolydian mode, we can see it's a major scale, but we just flatten the 7th. Ionian, that's just the major scale on its own. There is no flavor. We're looking at minor modes. again, similar to Ionian, the Aeolian is based on the natural minor scale. There is no flavor to it. It's just the same notes that are found in the key signature. No alterations have been done. The Dorian mode, again, it's based on that minor key signature, and it's also, but it's going to have a raised sixth. So the difference between Aeolian and Dorian is just one note's altered, and that's the sixth between the Dorian mode. The Phrygian mode, again, minor, it's a minor scale, but we flatten the two. And then the Locrian mode, we flatten the second note, and we flatten the fifth note. Just a quick reminder, we're not using necessarily the accidentals that you see there. That's just referring to the semitone differences that are taking place. So if it's a sharp and you got to make it flat, you're going to use a natural, right? So that's what. But again, when we're listing these things, just to get the concepts down of what's taking place. When we name modes, we name them based on their tonic degrees, and the relative relation of the mode is derived by thinking of the mode in relation to the major scale that it's related to. So, if we use C Ionian as the mode name, the tonic is C, the relative major scale is C because the Ionian tells us that information, and the starting degree is based on a C, or the tonic. The Dorian mode is based on the supertonic, so it's the second note of something. So we're given the mode name as E Dorian, so we know E is the tonic. But if we're asked, we know that it's based on a certain major scale, so we have to determine what that relative major scale is. So we know that E, Dorian, again, Dorian refers to the fact that it's the second note of something. So E is the second note of what major scale? And the answer is D major. And that, again, that's the supertonic. F sharp Locrian, well, Locrian is telling us that we're based on the seventh degree. So which major scale has an F sharp as its seventh note? G major is the answer. And that's based on the leading note. So every mode, regardless if it's a major mode or a minor mode, it's all derived from a major scale, and we can determine what that is, kind of like pieces in a puzzle. So once we've, the mode itself will tell us which scale degree we're basing it on, and then we just need to count forwards or backwards and determine which pitch we're talking about, or which major scale we're talking about. And then in your guide, we go through some of those examples. So using C as the tonic note, just walking through and showing the differences that take place between all of the different modes and how the flavor notes get utilized to alter and create all the different modes. So when we use the tonic major and minor key signatures, the only note that has an accidental is the flavor note for each mode, and that's important. Once you've determined if a mode is major or minor, you're not going to be changing the key signature. You're only going to be altering the flavor note if you have to. So I have two in front of us here on the board, and I'm going to walk us through how to do these. So the first one is C Lydian, and we're in the treble clef. So we've got two pieces of information. We've been given the tonic, and we've also been told with the Lydian this is a major or minor mode. And the answer is this is actually going to be based on a major scale. So Lydian is a major mode, and the starting pitch is C. So what we're actually going to do is draw the key signature for C major. We're done. That one was easy. So the next thing we need to do is draw the scale. So we're going to start on a C, because again, that's the tonic note still. And we're just going to write out C major. And we're not quite done. If I was writing out a C Ionian mode, I would be done, but I'm not. I'm doing a Lydian mode. So there is a flavor note that we have to address. Going back to your chart, Lydian is a major scale, but there's a raised fourth. So instead of having an F natural as a natural, we're going to be raising it relative to the key signature. Again, C major, there are no accidentals. So we need to use a sharp for the F, and everything else is going to stay the same because we've already established those pitches. So that's it. There's C Lydian. In the bass clef, we're going to do an F Locrian mode as well. So F, and it won't always be the case, but perhaps in this example, I've used the lowercase f, which should imply that we're dealing with a minor mode, and we are. Locrian is a minor mode, and it's based on the seventh degree. So we have to draw the key signature for F minor, because that's the tonic that we're basing this on. So we draw our four flats as our minor key signature. And once we've done that, all we have to concern ourselves with now is drawing the scale, and then what are the flavor notes we have to address. So let's go ahead and draw the scale. Currently, I have an F Aeolian mode. I've actually drawn a mode, but it's not the right mode yet. Okay, so I have to go back to my chart and I have to determine, well, what are the flavor notes with the Locrian mode? And the answer is there's a flat 2 and there's a flat 5. Okay, so we're going to go through, we're going to find the second note. It's currently a G natural, and I have to lower it, so I'm going to need to use a flat for the G. I count up to the 5th note. In this case, it's a C. I'm going back, check my key signature, it's a C natural. So I also am going to need to use a flat. Those are the only 2 flavor notes. In fact, that's the only mode that has 2 flavor notes. And those are the 2, and we've established it's minor, so we're done. In your guide, you're asked to solve a number of modes. There's 6 there. If you can do those in MuseScore, and then export that as a PDF file, and then I can use that when you're submitting this assignment into the hub. And you can also get the benefit of hearing some of these modes and hearing them play back. Modes have been around for a very, very long time. All of the different names, Lydian, Locrian, Mixolydian, they're all based on the Greek alphabet and the Greek. They're all Greek terminology. So they've been around literally thousands of years. A lot of musicians and composers have used modes to varying degrees for different types of effects. And it's really interesting once you start hearing these nuances that exist between, again, like Lydian, it sounds like a major scale, but it's a little bit different. Altering one pitch can make a really big difference and impact when a composer is trying to create a certain mood. Certain soundtracks that come to mind off the top for Lydian is the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. I think it's the Hobbit's theme employs the use of a raised fourth, and it gives that sense of lightness or positive or it instills a certain particular mood using a particular mode. Mode's mood. There you go. Anyways, they're used to great effect for different things. Locrian is a really uncommon one. It's a really unique sounding mode. It actually works really well over minor 7 flat 5 chords because it's got those notes in it already. Anyway, so there's different reasons for different modes. Again, some are used more often than others. Mixolydian, we hear that a lot in pop and rock music, but they all have their place, and they're really quite fascinating. So, as an extension for this, once you've written some out, you might do some research and find out different pieces of music that use different types of modes, and to get a sense of what the purpose of having them is. So, that's it, everybody. Thank you very much.